conversations between the IT students and the invited speakers. Yeah, we have sorry for that. Hello. Okay, so we repeat again. So good afternoon and welcome to the non-official Mentee sessions today between IPID students. Talk about their consultations. It's about consultation regarding research, publications, and career path with the senior researchers and panels. So we have here Dr. Zaliza from Miguel. And we have Dr. Masita from UTM and Dr. Kat from Australia and Dr. Leonardo from Colombia. Yes. Yes. And we also have Liz joining us from Sweden. As an extra. Yeah. I'm Willie. If you're I'm in the WhatsApp group, IPID group, for those who are joining the group, you will see me with the name Willie. I'm the staff here, and I'll just do the quick introduction, and then we have few questions given previously during the registrations from the IT students. Maybe we can start with those questions and to share about the problems given. Did you receive the questions from email? Yes. So I'm aware that we need to speak because all things are recorded. The sound will be recorded through this mic. So we speak from the mic now. So I'll pass the mic to the panel. Whoever wants to start.
Hello again, sorry. Yeah. Your name is? Willie. Thank you very much, Willie. I was being asked by Dr. Tariq to chair the sessions today. Once again, welcome to Malaysia for our partner here, Dr. Kat, Dr. Leonardo, yes, and I'm sure I cannot get the names just now. Dr. Liz, okay. I think this session we should be very informal sessions. We just share, discuss. You can ask a question from the list that we received. The question is like very specific to what you want. But I believe this is a journey. The PhD is journey. The study is journey. Perhaps we can share our experience, because the learning curve for everyone is different. I might having a different journey while I'm doing my PhD. Dr. Kurt might have different journey. Dr. Leonardo, Dr. Liz, as well Dr. Masita have different journey while they are doing their studies, while at the same time now we are pursuing and accelerating our research. So we can share the research that we are doing now. So we can collaborate further in assisting you doing your research as well. So I think I pass to the panel first to brief introductions of yourself. Maybe I start with Dr. Kurt.
Yeah, I'm an Aboriginal person from Australia, and I work up in Northern Territory, but I'm actually from Southern Australia, so I don't look particularly Aboriginal, but I still respect and value that tradition that I was brought up in. And so with my PhD, one thing I probably didn't understand was the importance of telling the story of my PhD and spreading it. So talk to people about your PhD because it's important.
Thank you, Dr. Kent. Dr. Masita?
afternoon, everyone. My name is Masita. Currently, I'm with University Technology Malaysia in Johor. If any one of you don't know where it is, it's very close to Singapore. Okay, alright. So my research area is in human-computer interaction. So by discipline, my background is software engineering, so combining with human-computer interaction. So I'm here with all of you to share my knowledge, my experience, because our journey is never ending. Okay, we learn as we live our daily life. So we are here to learn from you guys. So hopefully you guys can also learn something from us. Okay, thank you.
Oh, hello. This is scary. So my background is in industrial design. Never did anything related to industrial design. And then I did a master's in interaction design and I guess computing. And then I did a PhD at the Urban Informatics Lab in Queensland University of Technology in Brisbane. So I did that in Australia. And I was really interested in how we could use digital technologies to engage citizens in public spaces. Because back then I was really interested in graffiti and how that could contribute to strengthen communities, and in particular graffiti and street art in Colombia. It's very different to what happens in Australia, in the US, in Europe. So yeah, and I could just go on and on for hours. But what I want to say to begin this little chat that we're going to have is that yes, I agree with you. The story of your PhD is really important. You need to understand how to talk to others and engage others. But you also need to be well. You need to eat well. You need to do exercise, because the journey, no matter what, could be different, but it's going to get difficult and it's going to be tough. And you're going to have to nurture your support network, because that's what you're going to need to reach out to once it gets difficult. So be mindful, be careful, and take care of yourself and take care of others. And that won't make anything easier, but at least you're going to be well physically and emotionally. So yeah, that's me.
Hello, I'm Dr. Liz Reitsma. Sorry for just coming into the session. I was just curious, so presenting myself, but it seems very interesting. And yeah, I'm working at Malmö University, and I did a PhD in Newcastle. I'm also an industrial designer, but never really designed so much. Or I did design, I would say I did design, but not really in a professional context, because I was very interested in kind of me as a girl from the Netherlands, in other cultures actually, and in what ways is that appropriate, and in what ways is that not appropriate to bring into your designing. So that's been my focus, and that's how I also came to Malaysia. Can we respectfully design together with indigenous communities, even though we don't understand the way that they are understanding the world? So that's been me during my PhD, but also I agree a lot, like the stories of your PhD are very important, and you will feel very lost many times, and that's normal, because that's also learning, because sometimes we don't understand that if you actually are super stuck, then there's much happening actually. You just have to embrace that moment and have your support network take care of yourself. But I think that's important.
Hi, my name is Rizwan. I'm from Pakistan. Just arrived 5 days ago to Malaysia. I have just started my PhD in computing. So it's a new forum for me, and happy to I found myself among the brilliant and high-tech minds and highly qualified professors, and it will be an opportunity for me to learn from these minds. Thank you.
Hello, hi, good day everyone. My name is Arif. I'm from Kuala Lumpur. Just arrived here, first time in Cebu today, this morning. I'm a PhD candidate. Also, I'm a lecturer at University Kuala Lumpur. Been teaching for, I think this year is my 12 years as a lecturer. But as most of our academicians know that PhD is a must when you enter academic sector, right? So that's why I registered for PhD. So I hope I can learn from seniors as well as candidate as well. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Nazrul. I'm a master's student at Unimas, and I'm currently doing my master's at Unimas, and my topic is about on the software engineering and applied with natural language processing. So yeah, that's for me.
Hi, hello. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. My name is Welma Kashida. You guys can call me Welma. I'm in my first year master degree in Unimas, and my research area is focused on IoT and also deep learning. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
So go on to the next thing.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Muhammad Adnan. You can call me Shah. I am a PhD student in UTM under supervision Dr. Masita. Actually, I came from technical background, not good in the academic. So I come to learn PhD. I want to improve my academic aspect. So nice to meet you, and I came to here to learn from you, from your experience, and thank you so much.
Okay, good evening. My name is Nurul Fatihi. You can call me Fatin. I'm also supervised by Dr. Masita, my supervisor. So my PhD research area is on HCI. So I hope I can learn from you all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Victor Ajibola Victor. You can just call me Victor or Ajibola. All right, I'm from Nigeria. I'm a PhD candidate in Unimas also. I'm from Unimas, Kuching. So my research is focused on digital economy measurement and digital, what is it called again? Digital competencies. So trying to see the link within digital economy, digital competency, and the impact, how to measure it in an economy. All right, so thank you.
No, good. Good afternoon, I think. Okay, my name is Suhaili, but you can call me Git, so it's easier for everybody, right?
So you can remember me as GIDB, G-I-D-B. There's no related with no some family or brothers or what any gifts, there's no relation, because sometimes they say that probably I'm a fan of them, but actually there's nothing related with the name. Okay, and I'm from KL, University Kuala Lumpur, and I'm a PhD student, and this is my second semester. I'm going to enter my second semester, or I'm already in the second semester. So my focus is in gamification. So I know that I want to do gamification and gameplay, but I haven't found which for the industry or focus that I want to go. Because the more that you listen to, the more you listen to more person, so it's keep changing again and again. And if you listen to all the doctors, then sometimes you say, oh, I did wrong. So just like Dr. Lee said that sometimes you're lost, man. I'm in that stage, I'm lost. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody describing your background, so let me also describe my background a little bit. Good evening, everyone. So, I'm Willie from the center of UPS here. I'm working here 4 years already, and also a PhD student, part-time. My research area is on artificial intelligence, working most of the time in front of the computer. Yes, now it's having a lot of problems with problems that you have that lost in the mail, the research that happens to me every time. But now it's still manageable. Now it's my final year, so I'll pass to our chairman. Let me get on our discussion.
Thank you, Willie. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Zaliza. I'm from University Kuala Lumpur. Right in the middle of Kuala Lumpur, my university. Please come and visit us there whenever you come to Kuala Lumpur. From my university, you can see KLCC, directly to KLCC. Next to our lab will be Menara Kuala Lumpur. Dr. Cap, Dr. Liz, and Dr. Leo, please come visit us in KL. And everyone here, please. I've been teaching for almost 23 years. Yeah, of course, teaching is my passion. My research area is in data mining. When I see here, there are various areas we're looking into, the bridge between the design, the technologies. I think this is a good blend, where the technology is actually comes together with design. Now we have a creative art. We have the spectrum of creative art, but putting into computing, we have digitals inside it, but we still need the creativity parts under the arts to be infused inside the computing. Whenever we learn on deep learning, whenever we learn on artificial intelligence, the creativity from the arts is actually the gist of it. So by fusing these two areas, we have Dr. Kurt here, we have Dr. Leo, and we have Dr. Liz in the area of design, and we have Dr. Mashita here in the computing, and myself is actually in computer data mining. Big data is my field. You will get all this kind of benefit. Please ask us questions. And to start with, we can throw to the Willie first.
Okay, so I didn't prepare for this, so I just come for to do some introductions. And
We do have questions, but we do have a list of questions.
yes, we do have
How
a
about
list
like
of
we
questions.
will have the spontaneous kind of questions.
Can also. Okay, let me find one. I've been searching for the definition of philosophy in my research, in my PhD. So my supervisors always comment I'm lacking on my solid philosophy in my study, in my thesis. So that's why I've been lost for a few times. I've been trying for different types of philosophies, been reading books, and now that I'm working on the philosophy related to knowledge interpretations, and I found that this participatory design things is kind of related to knowledge. So we've been talking about knowledge, how to gather all the data and common knowledge. So it's quite interesting to me, so I joined here to see if I can improve my knowledge philosophy, that kind of field, to complete my thesis as my final year studies. So yeah, this is not a question, but so this
Question?
Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Kurt would like to address on that?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's my area. I teach meta knowledge. Meta knowledge is the knowledge of knowledge. So if I want to teach people how Aboriginal people think and work, I need to explain that process rather than, and I'll give examples. There's that. And I think you're really lucky doing a PhD, because what you're doing is trying to find out the meta knowledge of your discipline. And I think it ties into a lot of these questions. Like one was, how do we deal with global issues, where you're coming up to them in looking at them from above, not this is the details, but what is the overarching principle I want to track. Because often in global issues we say, oh, it's the individual responsibility or industry responsibility, but you need to look at it bigger, the bigger picture. And you're coming with that philosophy, that viewpoint into your research. And it'll change, your philosophy will change, you realise, oh, things are more complicated, or there's a new idea. That love of that knowledge that you're building up will grow, and you will have that overview. I think it's fun. That's the fun bit about PhD.
Yeah, maybe we can hear from technical person perspective.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So basically, I have this. I often see this from computer science students, because usually for computer science students, they are very technical. They have very technical skill, and normally they have this developer mindset. When they have this kind of mindset, what they normally see is how to build the solution. So they simply like jump the phase of doing or looking into things from the research point of view. So when we talk about from the research point of view, it's more from the not philosophical aspect, like from the art perspective, but from the let's say from computer science point of view, there are some theories that been based on, like in HCI, there are some theories on ground action theory or distribution theory or something like that, So you may want to take a step back, because sometimes we already have some ideas how to solve this problem, but then you have to take a step back and think about, well, when we talk about these interaction problem, what kind of models that people have been talk about, what kind of framework, what kind of principles, So we start from there, try to read out, and then try to relate to which one is more concerned to your work. Okay, and hopefully by doing that, you can start to see the relation and the link. So you can use sort of like connecting the dots. Yeah. So yeah. So I think that's for me. Just a little bit.
Do we have extra mic? Alright, so can we have from the arts people?
Can you?
Yeah. Got.
I can speak loudly, so do you want this?
Do you need it?
Are you recording?
Oh yeah, I'm recording now.
Okay, well, this is not working.
Don't. Two things.
Ooh. So if anyone's going to solve the problem, try to solve this one. How to turn the microphone on? That's an interesting problem.
Oh, look, I think your question is really important. And I can see the struggle that you're going through. But I think it has to do with the epistemology, the knowledge angle that you take, the ontology of what you're doing, or how you're approaching the object that you're trying to understand, or the artifact or whatever. And I think the operative word here is depend, right? So it depends on how you look at this thing, right? So you can look at it from this angle, from whatever angle, and you could still make a contribution, right? So I would say to you that what you need to do is you need to make a decision. Because you're reading broadly, and that's where the struggle is, right? You need to figure out what is it that you want to do in terms of contribution, right? Because yes, you want to do this, you want to contribute to knowledge, but then again, the contribution is coming from you as a human being, as a whole, as someone that has particular living experiences, that has grown up in a particular context, and that speaks certain languages. So we as humanity need your eyes and your decisions brought to knowledge in a way that is different to everyone else's, right? And from that point, you could say, this is my angle, because this is what this person says, this is what this person says, this is what this person says, and this is the little gap that I'm going to be working in. And no one's ever seen that little gap before. And I saw it. I noticed that it's important to make a contribution in that space. So it is, I guess it is about connecting and making the decisions about how you connect things. And that would be my answer to your question, which I understand what I'm saying is not an answer really. It's just how I see the world. But you could see what I'm saying is an example for you to understand how I position myself in terms of knowledge, right? This is my position. And so my question back to you, which you don't have to answer now, is what's your position, right?
Yeah, and I think adding to that, like maybe your position will change also, right? So maybe this is just a moment of making a decision for now, And probably, like, I'm going through my PhD work at the moment, revisiting it, because actually, I have changed, my perspective has changed, so also my position towards what I did before and my understanding, everything has changed. And I think maybe that takes the burden away a bit also. If you think that this is not the answer thing that you have to come up with, actually, that might help because it calms you down a bit. And one of the things what my supervisor, when I was doing my PhD, said to me that was really important for me was like, I don't care what you do, Lisa, really, as long as you're passionate about it. Because that's the only way to get through this. So I think it's about making this connection, but feeling a connection to whatever you decide. Like, this is exciting, I want to know more, I want to think in that way. So, yeah.
At some point, you're gonna hate your passion.
Yes, also.
You're like, I'm really passionate about this, but I hate it. And that's part of the PhD journey. You know, it's just, this is again my experience. But I had to face my own monsters when I was doing the PhD, right? And when I was writing the thesis, I ended up I first started doing field work in Australia. And then many things happened, and I ended up doing field work in Colombia. And because of Colombia's natural tendency to do stupid things, when I was writing my thesis, I would play local music and I would just cry, right? Because I had to explain to others the conditions of the country. And then I had to talk about the internal conflict for years, and I still get goosebumps, right? And I wrote that, I don't know how many years ago. It's like, it's still, strong. So yeah, it's gonna be, I don't know what I'm saying. Next question. Good question though.
Very good.
Addressing to that, when I advise my students, my PhD students, what I always say is that you're not going to solve world problems.
Right.
You're not going to solve world problems immediately. You might be just a small portion contributing to it. What we are now looking is actually the gaps of it, where you can fit into it and contribute things to it. How big it is, depending on your patience. If you are having a high patience, you might be having a normal contribution. But to satisfy yourself, PhD more towards on satisfaction of yourself. Doing what you want, doing what you're passionate to do it. At the same time, of course, PhD in computer science, normally you try to solve specific problems. When you try to solve specific problem, then your tendency to go directly to the problem. You try to solve that specific problem without looking at the bigger pictures, not looking into the concept that you can apply into it. But looking into the building, it might be trigger your idea on how to solve your programming problems. Or you're looking into the bird fly, so you might having to see the patterns of the bird flying translating into the programming skills. That is where you're contributing coming in. So that's why we have people are contributing into programming skill using swarm-based particle analysis kind of things. When you open your mind, when you're doing your PhD, looking rather than focusing on very specific, you try to solve this problem hardly, try to open your mind. We have other things to look at into and apply it to you. So that is where philosophy coming in, where is your PhD coming in. If you want to solve the problem, it become a project. So you become a project development teams. So you, in the PhD, we don't do that. So that might be answer to your question where your supervisor is asking, where is your philosophy is, where is actually your ability to see things other than very specific, to focus in one particular things. So when you're very specific, applying one particular thing to solve one specific problem, you don't find the gap and you are not contributing to the new knowledge. In a PhD, we're looking into contributing of new knowledge. It can be a very simple things, or it can be very complicated things. So maybe we can hear from those who are doing the PhD what the difficulties that you are rising through, right? Yeah, would like to join?
Actually, I am still 3 years to make PhD, and my topic is about citizen participation to improve the development of e-services of e-government. Actually, I have 2 issues very difficult in this journey. The first one, when I read the papers and articles, the difficult things, how can I link between the idea of articles when I want to write a scientific article. This is the difficult for me because I don't have any background of writing, and the technical part it's just more on try and error, not follow some methodology or something like that. In academic is different. This is what I faced difficult in academic field. How can I write my scientific article, and how can I link between the articles? This is the difficult when I writing. And the second difficult, or second challenge for me in the data collection. When I want to make a question for target user, this is the difficult for me. How can I design the questions according what are the aspects I have to focus when I want to write the questions to ask the target user. This is the 2 difficult for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I can say something, yeah.
Scientific articles.
Yeah, I think this is it is a bit about finding your own way in this. I'm sorry, but it's like, how do you deal with, like, you have a lot of text, so many words. What is the essence? So maybe it's about kind of finding a format for yourself to bring the essence, like, really together. What is the essence, but what is the related essence for your work specifically? Not what is the essence of the paper, but like finding a method for it. And I, like, with my students, but they're master and bachelor students, but we use something that was introduced by other researchers, the Prezi format. I can, after the session, I can exchange, and then I can send this to you maybe, because that might be a format, but it's kind of really trying it out, I would say. Yeah.
I have a couple of things to say about that. So I see 2 things in your questions. The first one is about the ideas in writing, and the other one is about the methods and the methodology, right? So for the first part, I think it's important to try and understand how you read and how to read. So from a technical reading strategy, what I do is this. So I read the abstract, and if it's interesting, it fits, then I read the discussion and the conclusion. And if I see something that's interesting in there, I go to the methodology and like, oh, okay. And then I go to the literature review. I never read a paper, you know, from the top to the end, because that's just a waste of time, right? So what I'm trying to say with this is that you need to learn how to read first, strategically, and figure out the message of the paper, which is what I think, what I got from what you said, and then try to understand what that message means to you and the work that you're doing, right? And then once you have that, you can say, you can bring that knowledge to your work and say, this person said this, and this means A, B, C in my work. And that would be the first, that's how I would answer your first two questions. And the other bit about data collection, or data collection, data potato, is very specific. You know, you said, how could I design the questions? I would bring the question back to you, and it's also connected to what Liz said, right? The literature is out there. It is your responsibility to figure out what methods are the most appropriate to what you need to do, but you are also welcome as a researcher to transform the methods, right? And so your contribution to knowledge is not only in that particular thing, it could also be a methodological contribution, right? Because you're adding to something else. So, and I've done that, and with other people we've done that, you know, oh, this method is interesting. To give you a quick example, there's a really interesting method called brain sketching, right? So rather than brainstorming, you get people to brain sketch, you know, they do quick sketches. But then we came up with this idea of brain sketching, and then, so I do a brain sketch, you do another one, blah, 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 and then we move the sketch, and then Liz would add to my sketch, and on, right? And that's not part of the paper. We just added to knowledge, you know. So it is about, again, finding what you need and transforming it and making it your own. So I don't think it is our responsibility to tell you how to best design questions. It is your responsibility how to use what's available in a way that's meaningful for you and your team and the topic and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's right, we can yell. Yeah, no, one thing, one of my students are developing something or making something, and that helps them because they don't have to really write it first. They can trial it and think about it, and so the writing can come later. And you, so I was thinking you could, an idea like, or when they start writing, it's the paper, the thesis itself is a process of learning to write, because you do the lit review where you sort of summarise papers and you start to realise they relate to each other, so you get your papers to argue with each other, and then finally your ideas come out, and then you start doing your ideas, and you start writing your ideas and pull in other people to support that. If someone's already done that before, I better mention that it's been done before. That it's starting to become your voice, and so it is a process as you go through. That's why I say I'll start with lit review, because that's the tiny steps, and then you start to develop. But also, I thought something when you said with the data collection, I was thinking you were saying like, what's a good way of questioning? I might say what I want to question, do that iterative study. We were doing participatory design, yep, participate, get the users to give answers, and you think, oh my god, I asked the wrong questions, I'm getting rubbish back. So don't do a big data capture first, do a small data and then build it up, and then you'll be right. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Kate.
Not wrong.
Yeah. So I think I should ask you about this. Yeah, I can agree upon, yes.
No, you go. So I was just going to add something. You go.
Yeah, when I listen to Dr. Kat, Dr. and Dr. Liz, it's actually from the perspective of people who are, the arts kind of things. But in terms of people who are doing the scientific kind of things, like the first things you need to do is actually throw your idea first. Throw your idea first in the piece of papers, in the piece. Don't bother to look at on the literature first. Throw your idea first. And then from that, you go, because in how that I'm doing is actually first I targeted where I want to submit. So first I need to know where I want to submit this paper. I will catch who is the chief editor. Understands the chief editor preference. How they love to have because in computing, we love kind of more like symbols coming in, the mathematical formulations in. Some chief editor love to see that. So when you construct your idea, you translate it into mathematicals. If you can see the chief editors is actually this kind of person, because I believe in completing your study, you need to submit at a certain citations, journals like Scopus, ISI, kind of things. So you are now targeting to which journals that you want. Go and check who is the chief editors. Look at his papers, how he normally writes his papers. Is it a mathematical solution based, or is a concept inductions introduction based? So if it is a mathematical formulations explanations, so throughout your papers, you are constructing using such things. You're just adding up these people saying this and this and this and this coming to it. So if it's more on theoretical concept kind of chief editor looking into, so you are looking into the perspective of what other people do and relates to your works. So that is how I'm doing. So normally I write conclusion first. I write a conclusion first, going for the methodologies. The last will be my literatures. That is how we are doing on the parts. Okay, so I believe all others are actually the way we constructed the papers is much more dependent on where you want to submit. If you want to submit on the more general kind of things, yeah, you can do it the styles that you want. So that is how one tips that I figured it out throughout my studies. Leo, you want to add something just now?
Yes. All right. Microphone. So connected to what Kat was saying, I think that you need to be ready to fail. Yes. Right. So you start small, you have your tiny pilot, and it didn't work. What did you learn about that? And what could be done next, right? And now in connection to what you were saying, that's a very particular way of approaching how to write things. But for example, my PhD supervisor, Marcus Foth, who's got a technical background, has a really different approach to writing. Like he's got papers published in very technical outlets. He's got papers published in non-technical outlets, right? Like social sciences, which they're technical in their own way. and then urbanism and urban planning, and his strategy is to get what he does out there and talk about it with as many people as possible. So he can learn from a bunch of different fields and ways of understanding the world and so forth. And that goes back to what we were talking at the beginning, right? So what's your voice? How do you approach your project? And what means and how do you communicate it, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that you're gonna find that we all have different approaches to publishing and talking and blah blah blah. What's yours?
And one more thing with how do I ask questions? Like here, maybe what your topic was, but you have probably a connection of understanding whether a question, because you're also a citizen in some way, right? So like, yeah, don't forget yourself also. Like, don't distance yourself too much from the study, I would say. Maybe. Just to, yeah. What is a good question? Like, if you have a conversation with someone, how does that actually work? How do you get deeper into what opens up and what closes down?
It's interesting because all this while just me and my little group. So with this session, it's like hearing inputs from different perspectives. I think broaden some ways or options that we do things. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, when you want to focus on your area, you're gonna kind of stuck. When you open your mind to others, then you will see all opportunities.
Yes.
Then you start to create.
Alright. Okay. Any questions or input? Any other students? So like maybe from your own experience?
Yeah. Rejection is common, right?
I was having a conversation with Shah just now during lunch. No, not lunch, but the break just now because we don't mind me. Yeah, I think we should be all fine with it. I think it's part of our experience, getting rejected. It's fine, I think it's fine, it's part of the journey. Although we get rejections, the reviews actually help us to shape better the way that we discuss things. So I know sometimes we get very motivated at times, but yeah, you can take some time off, just for a while, but you need to pick yourself up again. We have to work on it. Yeah. So I think that brings back to the point that you firstly mentioned that we shouldn't forget about ourselves. Yeah. That is the first thing that we should learn. I still remember the first that I had was with my supervisor. He said, "PhD is a very lonely journey. Make sure you do what you love." Okay, so I think that goes back to your point. You have to choose something that we really love because that will keep us company throughout our education. We don't know how long, but yes, that will push us through.
I don't know, when I was a student doing my PhD best years ago, when I submit a paper, I'm not expecting acceptance. I'm expecting rejections. So that is where I can improve my works. So if you got being accepted, I don't know what's wrong with my work. Is it good enough?
You lower your expectations.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I'm expecting my works being rejected, so I can see the reviewer comments, kind of things, what need to be improved. So that will make my final thesis much more easier to write. So I'm addressing all angles. Yes.
Then I was thinking about rejection because when I was doing a PhD, and sometimes I still do, and I know I shouldn't. I take the rejection personally, but why would I? Someone is trying to build on what I have and they're giving me honest feedback. And yes, there's a no-point joke in academia about reviewer 2, right? you can hate reviewer 2, right? But don't let reviewer 2 get under your skin. It's not personal. It's just something that you put out there. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, then you can just build on that and learn and move on. So, yeah, hate reviewer 2.
And you might decide that's not the journal that suits your work. You might just actually disagree with their review and say, what perspective you were taking? You were taking another perspective, and you're like, oh, that's not right.
If you can use the same paper, submit to another journal, the review will say good. So that's what I learned through my journeys. So don't take it personally. I believe that one is the first one.
Remember when I submitted the first paper, after 5 minutes, they reject. After 5 minutes, they reply me, this reject. This is the first time. Because I think when I submit, I'm so happy because this is the first paper I write by myself. And then when I submit, I thought it will be accepted that. But unfortunately, they already, after 5 minutes, the result is legit.
Yeah, because sometimes, I think as a supervisor, I don't know what the rest of you, but sometimes as a supervisor, we miss out things as well. Some journals are very suitable, some are not.
Not suitable.
Yeah, so maybe at that phase, I miss out those.
This is good advice about I have to choose the journal, the specific journal for my.
Yeah, I have my students doing the predictive analytics on the dropout analysis. Means that how many students will be drop out in the next 3 or 5 years? How many of these students or my students do the mathematical theories or mathematical solutions? We send to the journals to mathematical societies. The mathematical society say it's not sufficient enough for us to go to the mathematical society. So we submit the same papers to the academics, the education journal. When it goes to the education journal, they say it's too mathematical, you should proceed for the mathematical. So we are sending the papers now to the same papers without any changes. We are now sending it to computer science. Computer science says you don't provide any solutions to the current problem. So that time, but we are now, the things is there, you know that you are contributing something there, but you need to find, you cannot, you show who you are, reviewer is, sometimes you mean, sometimes are very depending on it.
Yeah, and I think there are two things in that, because sometimes it is like maybe what you're doing is kind of in between fields, what you're saying. Like my work is often understood as anthropology. I'm not an anthropologist in any way, so I feel very uncomfortable in that. But then when I design and they say, no, it's more published it somewhere else. And that's really difficult. But then also, things can change in the field. And an openness towards such a perspective can come in, meaning that suddenly you fit in somehow. And then the second, I think, maybe in the writing and the redaction, it's that you still need to find your story and actually your voice of writing that story and connecting to that specific field or group of researchers. They know how to talk between each other, but you don't know. You're just like, you're still speaking a foreign language in some way, right? It's about learning how to speak the right languages. And so don't take it personal. It's a learning to speak the right language.
Okay. Yeah. bringing what Liz was saying to another place, I think when I started PhD, I didn't know where I would fit, right? It's also a matter of, finding your voice, also finding the weird people that understand your voice and building that community. And I say weird because everyone's weird, but in different ways, right? So in what way are you going to be weird? And I'm sure there's going to be a community that will be like, oh yes, you belong, right? Or maybe they would say, oh yes, that's interesting, come along, we want to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah. I was going to refer back to the question one student asked about where do you go after the PhD, because that often helps when you're doing a PhD, okay, and it is that sort of, you find your community. It might be in government policy, or it might be in going out and doing research on the field or something, and continuing to doing it through grants or something. So yeah, you never know. I think it'd be nice to give some ideas where, I suppose people end up making things around there. And often, you might like teaching. You want to keep teaching what you learn. And you do, when you're teaching, you relate it back to your research. Because that you're trying to say, well, come into my research, you're not in my area. And so whatever you teach, you relate back to your research.
I suggest not Victor would like to say something, Victor?
I actually wanted to ask a question from you, from the big data perspective, because I was once involved in a project regarding data analysis. I can consider it a failed project because what we are trying to do is an optimization algorithm using genetic algorithm, which is kind of very old. I think now there are so many nature-inspired algorithm people are using. So me and my supervisor then was trying to optimize the genetic algorithm in terms of the efficiency we are trying to measure then was in terms of time and accuracy. But we tried a lot that time. I think eventually we abandoned the project. So my question is, in big data analytics now, what, apart from improving the existing algorithm, which I think is what most people are doing in data analytics now, which is optimization, what are the research areas that are open, that are available in big data analytics? Because in that, if you are not very super in programming, it's so difficult to survive with. You want to come up with your own algorithm is difficult. If it's a master program, it can take years. If you want to optimize an existing one, you have to make sure you beat the pre-existing, maybe efficiency, accuracy, or the time efficiency. So how do you survive, or what are the research areas available in big data analytics actually?
Okay. Interesting question. Directly you. I heard that Ken is also from computer science.
Yeah,
Well.
you want to specialize.
Okay, when you're talking about big data analytics, what we are now looking, you are not looking very specific to solve the problems in getting the data out to become an information, right? So now you are digging into deep learning, genetics algorithms, all the infused kind of technologies inside it. So you try to solve the computing part rather than look at into the bigger pictures. Big data is in a broad category. So there is a research area where we look into how to read the data, how to visualize the data that we already dig into it. So that is another perspective. So what we will do with that data, if you're looking into the computing part, yeah, of course we will analyze the times, the accuracy, the speeds that your computing times, you can solve that problem. But in big data, there is also another perspective to look at into it, to view on it how data will benefit out of it. So that might be the gaps that you can look at into, rather than focusing into the accuracy as well as on the timelines of your things that you are doing. So that's how I can see that big data, because big data is very broad. When you want to focus on that, that's what you get. So you cannot beat people who are very good in programming unless you are super in the programming, so that by viewing on how to improve the performance of the algorithms, you can look at on the other perspective. So that's what I can say. Because I'm not too much on the accuracies, I'm not too much on the timelines, on the computings that you're doing. I'm looking into what knowledge that you retrieve from it. What this knowledge can be visualized, that can be benefit to the society. That's what I see. How the data analytics, how the big data is supposed to look at into, so that you are introducing other things inside it. You see what is actually the problem. That problem not necessarily can be solved through the solutions. So that's how I see big data. So you can be creative on that part. So if you just looking into computing, I have my students doing the crown detections using the genetic algorithms, improved genetic algorithm as well as the AMs to solve to detect the crown of the tree. The crown of the tree, that is a tree where we can see from the image, you can just recognize what kind of tree that they are. So further analysis will be whether this tree is actually feasible for us to cut for the logging. So rather than looking into that perspective, means that you are now introducing various type of crown that available, various type of crown, rather than very specific looking into what is type of crowns the tree have. So now you are looking into in this forest, there are many types of crowns that you can see from the tree using the genetic algorithm technology. When you addressing the problems, your measurement, you can change the type of measurement that you want to look at into. You cannot beat people who are doing the fast programming. Your machine is not the same like the machine they have. The computing power they have is not the same like your computing power. Because the other thing is actually when you have, in computer science, I believe you understand that, right? We have the benchmark data. We have to test using the benchmark data. If we cannot beat the test data that they have available, it means that you are not supersedes the works of other people. That's the issues. To be creative on that part, when you do PhD, we are not, as I mentioned before, we are not solving the world problem. We're looking the knowledge at different perspective. So you might looking into different perspective of addressing the issues. So it means that, of course, you might not be able to beat the data, the benchmark data they have, but you can introduce how you visualize this data. Is that you have a different set of data, different set of knowledge that can be applied at different domains. That's how I see big data.